to
Girls Like Us TV.
I'm Jess.
I'm Keisha.
I'm Aisha.
I'm Ashley D.
And I'm Ashley S.
So today we're going to get real deep with you guys. So we're going to have a topic about daddy issues, daddy's daughters, daddy's girls, girl dads, all that. I'm going to let my friends who have their daddies in their lives go first, and then I'm going to tell my point of view. All right, so Ashley, you want to start first?
So, me and my dad are very, very close. I'm a daddy's girl to the T. However, I do come from a divorced family. So my parents divorced when I was 13, 14. But my dad has always been in my life. And actually, when my mom remarried, my stepdad came in my life too. So I basically have two daddies. And I love being a daddy's girl. I'm spoiled to death. My stepdad is actually how I know Aisha. I'm just so appreciative. Dang, I'm already okay. Something that I really like about my dad is something that I really like about my dad is I know how grateful I am, because even with my stepdad, my mom could have married somebody who didn't care about me at all. But he took me in, and he actually has a bond with my real dad. He literally, it's not like I'm a stepdaughter or anything. I'm literally his daughter, his nieces. Me and Aisha don't say step cousin. My sister, we say sister. He even takes in my friends. I know growing up, he played a father role for Ashley and Jazz and our other friends, and even with my real dad. So I kind of just really like the dynamic. Even when I get married, my stepdad, he's gonna walk me halfway, and then he's gonna give me to my dad, and my dad's gonna finish walking. And something that I really like that my real dad installed in me is that I don't need anybody. I don't need no man, and he really has been the ultimate dad to me. And I'm just forever grateful. That's when I get emotional, because we're very close. We talk every day, and I just love him so much. And I feel I don't let him know that a lot. Him and Mr. Rogers. I don't know, because I'm not that emotional, but just talking about it is just I'm very appreciative. Okay, I'm just
Okay, Keisha, we're going to start with you. How's your relationship with your dad?
I have a good relationship with my father. Now, a lot of you guys who follow me know that my dad is very present in my life. However, I was molested as a child. And it has made me develop a wedge between trust and men. And for a point in my life, I had a lot of trust issues simply because the person that violated me was someone in my family that I trusted. So it just made it very hard for me. It made it really, really difficult and challenging for me as a whole. But, my father has still been very present. My parents did divorce when I was younger. They co-parented very well. They still co-parent very well. It's crazy how, Ashley talks about her stepfather, because I have a stepfather as well. I never really considered him to be a stepfather to me, because I feel like I had my father. I didn't need another man to try to play with that role. And also, he became my stepfather my freshman year of college. So I was, well into my, not adult years, but on my way to being an adult. So, he is still taking me in, love me and my siblings, and I don't know. I don't want to say I have daddy issues per se, but I want to say that it has been a very hard journey for me, being that I come from such a hard background of being violated by, a man that I love who's a part of my family. It's just made me look at men differently. So when I love very hard, and it has just, drawn a wedge between me in some ways. But like I said, I love my dad. He is active in my life, and we have a really, really good relationship, and I feel like I've grown through a lot of the trauma from my past, and I'm just proud to say that I'm blessed enough to have had a father who was there to like pay for my hair to get done, or take care of my children fees, and want to be a father to me, because I know a lot of people don't have that at all. So I'm grateful in that aspect.
All right, Aisha, go ahead.
I have, like, I use this term very loosely, but I feel like I definitely was given what I would call just a unicorn family. Like, my dad has always been in my life. My dad married my mom when they were 28, and then they had me at 32, and had my brother at 35, and he's just always been there. I feel, just grateful because, it's just, look at how the Black family is. You see how it's just so normal to see fathers not present, not being there, things of that sort. So I'm just so grateful that I can truly, like, without a hesitation, without a doubt, say my dad has always been there. It's never been a time in my adult life, my adolescent, my child life, where my dad was not there. Like, meaning, of course, in families you have arguments, you have trials and tribulations, but I've never seen my dad put his hands on my mother. I've never seen my dad's never even really yelled at me. He's just never done anything to make me feel like, wow, like he's just not there. Every night my dad comes home, every night. And I'm grateful, and I'm so grateful because I look at my dad, and I could never allow myself to be with a man. And I mean like a husband, because of course we make decisions to be with all different kind of people all day long, but I need my husband to be the exact man that my father is, because he just set such a great example. I just feel like I would fail myself if I was to look for anybody outside of the man that he has been to my mother and his family. So with that said, I'm very grateful to say that I've always had my father in my life, and he's just been the true definition of a role model and what I would look for in a man.
Ashley Davis, how was your relationship with you and your dad?
So, my stepdad is my life, and I'm so thankful for him. But my relationship with my biological father, I think it's been maybe about like 5 or 6 years since we've spoken, pretty much. So growing up, I used to be a daddy's girl. We were super close, and then him and my mom got a divorce, which is fine. So he's been kind of like in and out of my life. But pretty much about like 5 or 6 years ago, I kind of found out like some things that he did. He just kind of did some things that were just like, to me, like unforgivable, and kind of like just like disgusting things, and it messed me up, to be quite honest. It's hard for me to talk about because I never talk about it.
It's okay, but you were lucky to have like your stepdad.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'm very thankful that my stepdad's in my life. He kind of like filled a void that I thought I was missing, like when my dad wasn't in my life. And I kind of felt like kind of guilty because it's kind of hard to explain, but like even though I was a daddy's girl growing up, I kind of felt guilty for like having like a bond with him because of like the things that he did. Because it not only hurt me, but it hurt like the people in my family. So yeah, it was just hard. Yeah.
So like for me, so like with my mom, I have like So mom had me when I was 18. She wasn't like married to my, no, yeah, it was in high school. So she wasn't married to my dad at the time, and then she like had my sister and my brother. Sorry, no. But my dad was like I always like wanted to be a daddy's girl. Like my sister never really cared. My brother was just like he was too little. But for me, like I wanted that relationship real bad. I wanted to like I wanted to have that relationship, especially when I was young, because like you see it on TV, like you see the Cosby Show, like you kind of like, oh, I want my daddy to drop me off to school, but he didn't do that. He didn't teach me how to ride a bike or to like drive a car. I never had like the guy talk with my dad or nothing like that. So like for like my sister, like she, like it was like she just like cut him off like completely. She never really cared for having a daddy relationship. But for me, like I think I tried to push for like I would, if it was like his weekend or like he would cancel weekends or like he didn't pay child support. Like my dad was he was like he smoked, he drank all the time. He didn't have no real job, in and out of jail. Like he was never like in my life. Like he'll bounce in, like, oh, hey, you wanna go out to eat? But it's like you can't bounce in and then like pick and choose when you want to be a daddy. Like I don't think that's cool. And then like after then I got older, like I had kids. Then it's like, oh, now you want to like see my kids, but like you can't. I definitely don't want you in and out of their life. Like that's not cool. And then like as my brother got older, then he tried to like build like more relationship with him, which is fine. But in that family, he like my daddy's side of the family, they always had relationships towards the sons. Like they gave the sons like more higher praise than they gave daughters, the daughters in the family. So we were always left in the dust. And so my brother was able to have towards the end, it sounds kind of crazy, but was building a relationship with a dad. And then after my brother passed away, my dad still to this day like come and check on me like at all, just to come see like how, oh, okay. I kind of like see how like to see how like we doing anything, but he'll call and just like, oh yeah, have y'all like gone through your brother stuck in the house and bury your shoes or something like that? Like that's not cool. I guess it would maybe probably a little bit. But yeah, it's just, like I guess what hurt most is because I really pushed and really wanted a father-daughter relationship. But like as she said, I was able to be able to have those male role models to like my granddad. But he was a lot older, so it's like different. But whenever I go to Ashley's house and I'm like with Mr. Rogers or Mr. David, like they always made me feel like I was there. Like they would always give us these talks, and like when Ashley's dad like came to my brother's funeral, like that meant like everything. Yeah, like that was like a lot. And I was kind of told me that, but yeah. So yeah, so I was pretty blessed to have like different father figures. So yeah. But to move on to another question now that we have introduced ourselves. So how was your relationship? I know we all have different stories and different aspects of our relationships with dads. But how has that affected your relationship, like through men and through having to date? Actually, you wanna?
All right, so I'll go first. So just like how Aisha said when she was talking about her dad, how she wants to marry somebody that's just like her dad, that's kind of exactly how I am. And I don't know if, because I'm so spoiled, so sometimes I'm like, I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing, because a lot of times I'd be like, dang, like, nobody gonna be able to compare to my dad, or like all the love and how he cares about me so much. But I know just like little things, I look for traits in the people, like in my dating experience or even in my last relationship. I look for those qualities that my dad had, just from like simple things, for just always making sure I'm good, even little things like checking the car or something. Like, my dad literally has been like the perfect example of everything that I would want in a guy when I'm married. So it's always, and I know like a lot of people, so a lot of times girls who don't have their dad, they can kind of experience trying to fill that void with, you know, with men that they date. And I'm so glad that I don't have to experience that, because like I said, one thing he always taught me, I don't need nobody. I'm never begging no man for nothing. If I need anything, I can literally call my dad. And even with my stepdad, with Mr. Rogers, something that I really like about him when it comes to dating, I can come to him about any guy. I can say, look, Mr. Rogers, I had sex with this guy, he did this, and he made me feel a type of way. And he won't judge me or anything. He keeps it real. And that's something I like, because a lot of people feel like they can't go to their parents and be like, you know, hey, I did this, because they feel like they're going to be judged. And growing up in my household, my parents, like, they were perfect. They weren't too strict and they weren't too lenient. And I always respect them, because I know if I'm going through anything, I can always come to them. And even, I know we can go to Jazz's mom. Her mom is like that too. So that's something, I know we're talking about dad's and start talking about her mom, but that's something that like I really appreciate when it comes to dating. I can always come to my dad's and just explain what's going on. I never feel judged or anything.
Anybody else want to start or continue?
My experience with dating has been a little, I don't know. Well, quite frankly, I didn't have my first real boyfriend, real adult relationship with a man until I was 23. So from the time of 15 up until 23, I dated women. My dad was very understanding to that process for me, simply because, you know, like my family didn't really know what to do after I was violated. Like they didn't know, you know, like how I was feeling, what was in my head. So they kind of just didn't want to like do anything that would make me feel uncomfortable. A lot of them, quite frankly, did think the reason why I dated women was just because I was just scarred with being violated. A lot of them felt that way. So they kind of just accepted it for what it was, which was very surprising for my father, because he was much more strict than my mom growing up. Very, like, much more religious, much more, like, all of those things. My dad was in the military, so, like, he was way more uptight, whereas my mom is very lenient. So it was quite interesting to see that upbringing. So he didn't really have too much of an opinion when it came to me dating women, because he didn't really know anything about that lifestyle. He didn't really, he just wanted me to be happy. And I think for my family, they saw me going through depression. They saw me going through so many different things. They kind of like, whatever, you know, kind of making her happy. So by the time I started dating men, you know, my family was in such a shock, because for so long I dated women. Like, they didn't know what to do with it. Like, they're like, what's going on now? So it was very hard. So I never really had that conversation with my father, to be honest. But one thing I know is, like, my dad doesn't play when it comes to any of his kids, but especially, like, his daughters. Like, he's very protective of us. Very protective. And I can kind of sort of tell, you know, I'm sorry, I just feel like I'm crying so much. You know, I just feel like me and my father, we haven't had a conversation about, you know, Jeremy having a baby outside of our relationship. Because my dad really did respect Jeremy. He really did like him. He saw how he treated me. He saw like a change in me, and for the good. Like, he really my dad, you know, would refer to Jeremy as his son-in-law. And I know he is very disappointed, to the point that we just haven't even discussed it at all. We haven't discussed it. And I don't really know where to start with that conversation because, you know, I feel like, you know, my parents always had high expectations for me because I've always been, out of all three, the most level-headed, the one who made the best decisions, the one, you know, I was that child, the most independent, like I was a go-getter. So, you know, I feel as though like they were so happy to see me out of, you know, that lifestyle, and to find someone like Jeremy and for him to have established a relationship with him, and, you know, for him to be the father of their grandkids, and then for something like this to happen, I just feel like it's been very challenging at this point for me because, you know, I don't really know how to really, you know, speak about it, but I definitely value and respect my father and how he feels about the people I date. And I know he's truly hurt. Like, he's truly hurt by those actions. So it made me take a step back, and I always tell myself when it comes to my daughters, like, I want them to appreciate and respect my opinion when it comes to people that they deal and talk to, because, you know, like, I'm older, I'll be wiser than them, I've been through my own experiences. So it's the same thing for my family as well, my parents. So I said all that to say, like, I haven't been able to have that type of sit down, like, conversation about, you know, dating a man. It just kind of happened so fast with my family. You're just trying to test the water type of thing, and then it got serious real quick. Hopefully we can get to a more amicable space with it, and, you know, get some type of healing. But, you know, it's just, I guess you live and you learn type of thing. So,
for me, how it has affected my relationships is, I just look at how I am with men, like, and this is like a running joke with my friends and I have, because I just have, I don't want to say zero tolerance, because as women we've all made mistakes and then people we shouldn't have been with. But I'm more so like, I just detect it so early on, and I'll be the first to say, and I'm not ashamed to say, I've had a lot of relationships with men, and I used to look at that as a bad thing. Like, I had friends that were with people for 10 years, 5 years, and I was just like, dang, I could never get to that, maybe like a 2-year mark. Like, I was like, why can't I get to that mark? But then as I got older, I realized I was not getting to those marks because I was detecting early on that you are not like my dad, and I don't need to be with somebody like you. It's just, I feel like having him in my life showed me, like, okay, hey, you having fun, that's cool, but that's not the person you need to be. Like, you need to keep moving. And one thing my dad taught me, and like I said, this goes back to why I feel like so imperative to have male role models and figures in your life, because you don't know what you want until you know what you don't want. You don't know. You just don't know. You can't, like, some people, like, again, a unicorn, they get it right, and they like, oh, boom, I got a perfect man. But I feel like majority of us, we have to go through several trials and errors before we get to that person. And I feel like having my dad made me just, again, it did, and that's the biggest misconception I see people have. They think, oh, girls who have their dads in their life, they don't be, you know, promiscuous, or they're not a hoe, or they're not this, that, and the third. I don't think that's the case. I feel like girls who have their dad in their life I feel like we do know right from wrong. And I have plenty of friends that have their father in their life, and they still make mistakes. And I don't feel like you not having your father in your life makes you a whole promiscuous and all of those things. Because it's just more so, it's just about you just knowing, having a discernment of, is this man for me or not? And I just feel like for me, it has worked for me because I know, like, I can see now, okay, I'm about to play with you. I know I'm not going to take you serious because you are nothing like my father.
For me, it's kind of like I go both ways. So I kind of look for men who have like the same qualities as my stepdad. But on like the other side of that, I also like I kind of like second guess people because I feel like with my dad, I look at people like, yeah, you come off this kind of way, but like you could also have like a dark side. So it's just both ways. But
Yeah, so the way your relationship had with my dad like affected the certain men, I would say like I was like I was never like promiscuous, so that it never like affected me like that because I think it made me more like more eager to find like someone who's the total opposite, like someone who could be a good dad for my children. Like I was always looking for like a father for my kids, someone who was like a man. Like I was never like I always wanted somebody like divorce was kind of like off the table for me. Like I wanted like the picket fence, the dog, the man, the kids. Like that was always my end game. So I was always looking for. But I guess the way it affected my relationships, like I guess with David, now that I'm married, like we do have, like I guess I do have these little kinks where like, oh, you about to leave me? Like, cause I guess I low key be paranoid, like, oh, are you gonna leave me? Like even if we were dating, you have these little thoughts in your head, like make you look crazy, like always question like, oh. I mean, but I want her to leave me kind of thing, because I guess I'm so used to like getting left, or I have also effect that I have relationship is like communication. Like I don't know how to like communicate with a man very well, so I had to learn, and a lot of things David kind of had to teach me was like how to communicate. Like he had to teach me a lot of stuff that my dad should have taught, but like he kind of like I guess like he noticed that I had like these issues, but it never bothered him, I guess, because either way, like, he still loved me for who I was, but he just had to teach me some things that kind of should have been taught early on. So yeah, I think that was the biggest like qualities that kind of like affected my relationship with men, is that like I was constantly like wanted to have like somebody like to have a man. Not like I was having sex with a bunch of people, but I was always looking for like a dad, like a husband, like that kind of thing. Yeah.
I think that's.
Okay.
I think that's good that you have David to come in and teach you that, because a lot of times people don't have that, and it causes them to like shut down, or they don't realize like, oh, I might have a communication issue. Then it just gets worse and worse, and that's how you kind of just spring out out of control.
Yeah, so like that's what being the big part. He's able to like we're comfortable. Like I don't think we were comfortable before for him to bring up the qualities that kind of maybe affected from childhood things. But now that we got to a point was like he's able to be comfortable to teach me like, oh, you're struggling with communication. Maybe that's something that you can work on. With that being said, do y'all believe that the terms like daddy issues is real? Like, do you think people actually have issues because of their dads?
I definitely believe that. Not for every situation, just like, some people say if you don't have your father, that means you're going to be promiscuous, you're going to be looking for love in all the wrong places. Like, that may not be the case for every single person.
Right.
That's a general statement. But I definitely believe that daddy issues is a real thing, because whether it may be as big and prevalent as promiscuity, it could be as subtle, like for Jazz and for myself, because I can resonate with that. Whereas like we want that love, like from me having that innocence taken away from me, it's kind of like I put so much value and emphasis in, the people I date, and especially like, being with a man, having a man take that away from me. Now, like I really value that, and I'm like, I hold a husband to the highest regard. A lot of people kind of mock that, like, oh, you want to be married type of thing, but like I hold that value to me so close and near and dear to me, because that's what's important to me. So I do look for love, and I do try to have a forgiving heart, and work through things, just so I don't feel like I let myself down in certain situations, even when things are just completely out of my control. But I definitely hands down think daddy issues is a
Yeah,
real
I agree.
I absolutely feel like daddy issues, and I feel like it's a like it goes both ways. Meaning like just how Jazz and Ashley were just talking about the things they look for in their fathers. For me and Ashley and probably even Keisha as well, it's like that I can always also push people away because you're not what I and I'm absolutely pushing away somebody that could grow into maybe I don't believe this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Maybe my daddy used to be a he did back in the day. I don't know. I didn't know him when he was 18, 17. I just know who he has been since I've known him. He's never shown me any signs of being a person that's disloyal or just not going to treat me with the utmost respect. So I feel like I got daddy issues because I can't imagine being with somebody that just does not hold me in that high regard.
And I was gonna say that too, Aisha. I'm glad that you said it because that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's kind of like sometimes I have the fear of like, dang, I'm never gonna like find somebody that's like that I would be like 100% comfortable that like my dad can hand me off to.